And he came out in strong defence of his club and the process they're going through after the game. You might have seen this graphic that's been doing the rounds over the last 24 hours, really, which doesn't reflect too well on Frank. It has him with the fewest points per game of any Chelsea manager in the Abramovich era. We probably should also point out that 8 of the 11 on that list had won league titles before they were appointed Chelsea manager. Do you think that comparison is fair?
Well, of course it's fair. He's the Chelsea manager. Nobody knows Chelsea Football Club better than Frank Lampard and how ruthless they are with the managers. What I would say is I think people in our position get questioned regarding Frank in that we played with him. If this was a different manager, we'd be a lot more critical. They're right. I would be a lot more critical of those other managers on that list. Not because I played with Frank Lampard, because I don't expect Frank Lampard to win the league at Chelsea. I don't expect him to win the Champions League. The other managers who come in with CVs. They've got years of experience. They've won the big trophies. Mourinho comes in, Hiddink, Ancelotti, all these great managers. So I would be more critical of them. Now, Frank Lampard's come into a job, and I think of players of my generation. And I think of myself, I watch Klopp on the line. I want to be Klopp. I want to be Klopp. I want to be on the sideline. Fist pumping the Kop when Liverpool have won. It looks amazing. Frank wants to be Jose Mourinho. John Terry wants to be Jose Mourinho when they're doing well at Chelsea. I'm sure Thierry Henry looks at Arsene Wenger and thinks, I'd love to do that. I could do that. What I would say about players of our generation is, and it's why I do this job and I didn't go into management, is I want to be Jurgen Klopp managing Liverpool, but I don't want to go to Mainz for 7 years and work my way up. And that's what I'm talking about with Frank. I actually admire Frank for the job he did last year and what's happening now. And I loved his interview after the game. Because we're looking at a lot of managers now. Frank being one, going into a top job on the back of 12 months at Derby. The experience isn't there. He hasn't got the job on the fact of being a great manager. He's got the job on the fact of Chelsea, Frank Lampard. Gary went to Valencia. Big job. How can you say no? How can Frank say no? But they don't have that experience to fall back on. Thierry Henry goes to Monaco, hasn't got that experience to fall back on, haven't learned the ups and downs of management and coaching, really. Stevie Gerrard's another one who's gone to Rangers doing really well. Looks like he'll win the title this season. Would I want Steven Gerrard to be the Liverpool manager without more experience? Possibly not. Because I just think when you get those really big jobs and haven't got that experience, you've got nothing to fall back on when times are tough, as they will be now for the next few weeks for Frank. Even the confidence in your own beliefs of how your team should play. People have ideas when they go into coaching and managing how their team should play. But you don't know until you've done it and you've got confidence that something works. And that's my big point about it. And that's why I wouldn't go to town on Mikel Arteta right now, Frank Lampard, different people, as I said, going to different jobs. It's not that they don't know football. It's just that they haven't got that experience as such to fall back on. And that's a big part. And I think players of my generation, and certainly me, I don't want to go down to the lower leagues and learn coaching or managing.
Well, Paul did.
I did.
Yeah, you did. What I'm saying is...
You did the hard yards, but you got 6 months at Blackburn.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I totally get what Jamie's saying. But sometimes I was thinking about management when I was 30, 31, 32. That was always going to be my next step. And I knew that to be a process of how I was going to do it. I ended up going into League Two, in the bottom of the club, Macclesfield, which it's not a job I'll probably envisage seeing myself having, considering the career that I've had, you know. And that's why Frank and Stevie Gerrard are lucky people, because it's Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard. They get kind of propelled into these kind of bigger clubs. But for me, I was happy to do that, Jamie. You know, I had to learn from the bottom and work my way up, which I did.
Yeah, but if you were offered them jobs, Paul, you'd have took it, wouldn't you?
I mean, you can't say no.
Exactly.
You can't say no. But for me, sometimes, you know, I got offered a Blackburn job, and as Dave said, lasted 6 months. We weren't in the bottom three, but it was still too soon for me to take the job. But I couldn't turn it down, you know, because my rise in management went so quickly from 2 to 1 straight into the Premier League. And I sit here now and I say to myself, and I say to you, it was too early for me. The Premier League had changed, the players had changed. They weren't the same type of players that in our generation. So that was an error on my behalf, but you're right, you can't turn these jobs down. And I think with Frank and with Stevie Gerrard's done well because he's taken Gary McAllister with him. You know, someone's got Baz's experience. I took Ray Mathias with me. You know, when things go wrong for Frank, who does he talk to? Who does he lean on? You know, we know Jody Morris is a very good coach. You know, but who's he got that senior kind of person where he can go, what would you do in this situation? Because I wouldn't know what Frank would say at half-time after watching that result. You know, what do you say? And that's when you talk about experience. You know, you've got to have someone to lean on. You know, someone who's played at the higher echelons or managed at the higher echelons. And it's always going to be an issue for Frank. And he's going to be under pressure because of the money that he spent. And there's no getting away with it, whether you're Frank Lampard or Ancelotti. If you spend that type of money on those players and you're not performing and you're getting beat like they did the other day, he's going to be under pressure.
I said this when Frank came in. I'd love Frank Lampard to get the Chelsea job in 10 years' time. I'd love Stevie Gerrard to get the Liverpool job in 10 years' time. The same with Thierry Henry in 10 years' time. So they can actually show, with that experience they've built up, the highs, the lows, what's brought them success. So they get the job and they almost feel confident and ready. You can't possibly feel that on the back of 12 months as a manager. You've got so much to learn.